Good evening, you're watching Just the News. I'm Amita Balachandra. Our top story today is on the new announcement that's come in by Union Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia, who has announced today that India will start administering vaccines to all children between the age groups of 12 and 14 starting the 16th of March, which is Wednesday. Now, the Health Ministry said that Corbevax, manufactured by the Hyderabad-based Biological E, will be administered to the new age group. Now, children above the age of 14 were already being vaccinated under the ongoing vaccination program. In the meantime, the restriction that only people with comorbidities above the age of 60 could get a booster dose has also now been removed, which means that all adults above the age of 60 can now get a booster dose. Our focus also remains on Russia's invasion on Ukraine. It's day 19. Attacks have intensified. This is the latest update. According to Kyiv's negotiator, the fourth round of talks between Russia and Ukraine are currently underway. Kyiv's lead negotiator has tweeted, and I quote, "Communication is being held, yet it's hard. The reason for the discord is two different political systems," end quote. Meanwhile, at least one person was killed and a dozen others wounded when an apartment block in northern Kyiv was hit by what is believed to be artillery shelling as Russian forces edge closer to the heart of Ukraine's capital. Also, news that came in on Sunday, Russian airstrikes killed 35 people at a military base outside Ukraine's western city of Lviv on Sunday. Another 9 people were also killed in a strike in the southern city of Mykolaiv. Now, this was near a major crossing point used by refugees to enter Poland. Also, in a video address, Ukraine President Zelenskyy has said, and I quote, "If you don't close our sky, it is only a matter of time before Russian rockets fall on your territory or NATO territory," end quote. The shelling in Mariupol in the meantime continues, and it's quite bad, the situation there, according to the BBC, which says that Mariupol is suffering constant shelling, bombing and some street battles as well. Thousands of civilians have been trapped there for nearly 2 weeks, surrounded by Russian troops firing rockets and shells which have destroyed many buildings. In the meantime, a Chinese foreign ministry spokesperson has said assertions from US officials that Russia asked Beijing for military equipment for what's going on in Ukraine were disinformation from the United States. Now, these comments came during a regular Chinese foreign ministry briefing in Beijing. In the meantime, Russia's spokesperson has also said that Russia has not asked China for military assistance. Also in the news, Brent Renaud, an acclaimed filmmaker, died on Sunday after Russian forces opened fire on his vehicle in Ukraine. Now, the 50-year-old was gathering material for a report about refugees when his vehicle was hit at a checkpoint in Irpin, just outside the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv. Now, Ukraine's Interior Ministry said that the area has sustained intense shelling by Russian forces in recent days. Now, moving on to oil prices and what's happening on that front, US benchmark oil West Texas Intermediate slid on Monday on Ukraine peace hopes and after major consumer China imposed a COVID lockdown in its tech hub of Shenzhen. Now, this is according to a report by Reuters, which says that Brent crude, the international benchmark, was trading at about $107 per barrel, down roughly 5%. In December, it cost about $65 per barrel before Russia's President Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine. Meanwhile, Reuters has again reported, and this is an exclusive Reuters report, which cites 2 Indian officials who said that India is considering taking up a Russian offer to buy its crude oil and other commodities at a discounted price with payment via a rupee-ruble transaction. Now, India, which imports 80% of its oil, usually buys about 2 to 3% of its supplies from Russia, but with oil prices on the rise, Reuters says that the Indian government is looking to reduce its energy costs. Also in the news, Minister of State for Petroleum and Natural Gas Rameswar Teli said in a written reply to a question in the Rajya Sabha on Monday that the government of India is closely monitoring global energy markets and potential energy supply disruptions as a fallout of the evolving geopolitical situation. In other news, now away from this big story, Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia informed Parliament today that regular international flights can operate with 100% seating capacity starting the 27th of March. Now, the government had earlier banned all international scheduled flights for a week starting the 23rd of March 2020. Now, the ban stretched for nearly 2 years because of the pandemic. Also, news coming in from West Bengal, where two elected councillors of the TMC in Congress were shot dead in separate incidents in West Bengal on Sunday, according to the police. Now, Anupam Datta, the TMC councillor, Ward number 8 of Panihiti municipality in North 24 Parganas district, was shot at from a close range by unidentified motorcycle-borne youths while he was visiting a park. In the meantime, in the Jalda municipality of Purulia district, four-time Congress councillor Tapan Kandu was shot at by 3 motorcycle-borne youths while he went for a walk near his residence in his ward number 2 in the evening. Now, both of them had won the recent civic polls in February. According to Indian Express, Police Commissioner Manoj Verma has said, and I quote, "We are investigating the matter. We have received some evidence. We are looking into them," end quote. An update now on the Jammu and Kashmir sarpanch killing case. The police has said today that they have arrested 3 terrorists belonging to the Hizbul Mujahideen in connection with the killing of sarpanch Shabir Ahmad Mir in Kulgam. Now, speaking to ANI, the IGP of Kashmir has said, and I quote, "Vehicles used in the commission of crime have also been seized. During the investigation, it was learnt that the sarpanch was killed by Hizbul Mujahideen terrorist Mushtaq Yatu on the direction of Hizbul's chief commander Farooq Nali," end quote. Now, Shabir Ahmad Mir was shot by terrorists at his home in Kulgam, 70 kilometers away from Srinagar on the 11th of March. Now, this was the 3rd killing of a sarpanch in the last 10 days. Also in the news, Paytm Payments Bank has dismissed a report claiming that it had leaked data to Chinese firms as false and sensationalist. Now, the bank took to Twitter to say, and I quote, "A recent Bloomberg report claiming data leak to Chinese firms is false and sensationalist. Paytm Payments Bank is proud to be a completely homegrown bank, fully compliant with RBI's directions on data localization. All of bank's data resides within India," end quote. Last week, the RBI had banned Paytm Payments Bank from onboarding any new customers, post which Paytm shares also dropped. Now, news agency Bloomberg had reported that the RBI or Reserve Bank of India had found that the company's servers sharing information with China-based entities that indirectly own a stake in the Paytm Payments Bank. And this was the allegation which the company has denied and has said it is completely false. Moving on to business news right now. Data released by the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation has shown that India's retail inflation has surged to 6.07% in the month of February, over and above the RBI's threshold of 6%. In the meantime, wholesale inflation across the country has risen to 13.11% in February. The WPI in February 2021, which is about a year ago, was 4.83%. Now, the government press release has said, and I quote, "The high rate of inflation in February 2022 is primarily due to the rise in prices of mineral oils, basic metals, chemicals and chemical products, crude petroleum and natural gas, food articles and non-food articles, etc. as compared to the corresponding month of the previous year," end quote. Also, an update in the NSE scandal, where a Delhi court today has sent Chitra Ramkrishna, former managing director and chief executive officer of the NSE or National Stock Exchange, to judicial custody till the 28th of March in a 2018 case of worse manipulation. Now, Special Judge Sanjeev Agarwal has said that Ramkrishna is not a VIP and will not be provided special facilities inside the jail. Now, the 2018 case pertains to charges of preferential access to the trading system to some brokers through the co-location facility at the NSE, early login and dark fiber, which can allow a trader split-second faster access to the data feed of the exchange. Now, even a split-second edge is considered capable of bringing in huge gains to a trader. Moving on to international news, and this is worrying, especially because there are lots of reports of epidemiologists saying that it is worrying. The southern Chinese tech hub Shenzhen, home to 17 million people, has now been put under a citywide lockdown on Sunday as 66 new COVID cases were reported. Now, there are also reports of restrictions spreading across Shanghai and other major cities to combat an outbreak, challenging the nation's zero-tolerance COVID strategy. A major Apple supplier, according to information that's come in today, Foxconn, has suspended its operations in Shenzhen, the company has said today. Now, according to AFP, authorities have reported 2,300 new virus cases in China on Monday. Almost 3,400 cases were reported just yesterday, which is the highest daily figure in 2 years. Also, in Indonesia and Philippines, strong, shallow underwater earthquakes were reported today. In Indonesia, the quake was of magnitude 6.7, whereas in Philippines, the earthquake was of 6.4 magnitude. However, there was no serious damage that was immediately reported and no tsunami warnings as well. And one piece of good news before we wrap things up on this bulletin, this is also sports news. India beat Sri Lanka by 238 runs in the second and final test on Monday to complete a 2-0 series whitewash. Now, India outplayed the Lankans in this test as well as the series. Shreyas Iyer was named player of the match, whereas Rishabh Pant was named the player of the series. That brings us to the end of this bulletin. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.